Oh.
Welcome to another episode of everybody's favourite Japanese video game show, Sushi Bites. In times like these, it can be fun to look back fondly on the good old days, and there were no better days than jamming 50p pieces into arcade machines. If anybody was the king of the arcades back in the day, it would have to have been Sega. Sega always pushed the boundaries, always had the freshest games and tech. And with a sweeping generalisation, this paragraph is done. I figured I would use this weird state of quasi-lockdown as a great opportunity to see what an era of arcades I missed back in the day, the Sega Model 3, had to offer. Thankfully, I don't have to go to an arcade to play these games, they all emulate rather well on PCs these days. I run the risk of Sushi Bites becoming whatever I want to review bites here, but the two games featured on today's episode got arcade releases outside of Japan, sure, and one of them is based on an American film. But these games definitely feel Japanese. They were developed by Japanese teams and they never got console releases, despite many promises back in the day. They fit the remit, and one of them is fairly obscure. Right now, the only way to play these games is at a real arcade or on your home computer of choice, and we can't exactly visit any arcades right now, can we? The two games we're going to be looking at are The Lost World and The Ocean Hunter. Two gun shooters developed for Sega's Model 3 arcade tech. Even if you never played these games before, I'm hoping that you will still feel nostalgic for them. I feel nostalgic for these games, and I only played them for the first time the other day. This attract screen is amazing. This is The Lost World, and it's based on the Jurassic Park film of the same name. It hit the arcades in 1997, and you still see this machine in seaside arcades near where I live. This one is a joy to play. I have here the Japanese ROMs, so the subtitles are in Japanese, but the voiceover is in English. It's all stock House of the Dead campy goodness. I'd hazard a guess that this game was based on House of the Dead, or contains some of its DNA, considering its branching paths, gameplay and look and feel. Some of the enemy behaviour is strikingly similar too. You could tell me this was a dinosaur-themed House of the Dead and I'd believe you, because really, that's what it is. They even thank one Sabongi Kazutomo who worked on House of the Dead. The game takes place over 5 chapters, with the main goal being to rescue Ian and Sarah, and to help them administer first aid to the baby T-Rex. Meanwhile, most of the prehistoric party crashers on Site B want you dead, whether it is by bites, scratches, or shitting on you. No really, that's dino poop. Much like real life, rescuing people from dinosaur attacks brings you sweet rewards, like special ammunition or extra lives. You can even earn an extra life for every 3 power bars you collect. It's a truly traditional arcade shooter with the branching paths I really love in classic House of the Dead. Do well, and you can take a shortcut past the enemies. Do poorly, and get stopped to face a bunch of baddies. Sometimes letting people get killed or failing to disarm a trap can result in more point scoring opportunities, and it's great that this game has such a robust scoring system, because it makes replays so much fun, and no one playthrough ever feels the same. So The Lost World was the first Model 3 shooting game ever created. Sega AM3 was unfamiliar with the tech for Model 3, and the game was fairly ambitious, taking advantage of Model 3's capabilities to bring 60 frames and 100,000 polygons a second to the game's crystal clear 50-inch display. Using an early version of the film's script, the developers worked to a tight deadline to bring the game to a finished state. but as a result the game does not closely follow the plot of the finished film, as many elements were reworked for the film or dropped.
That's a chameleon-type dinosaur.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, it's a what?
That's a chameleon-type dinosaur.
A chameleon-type dinosaur? Ah yes, the Carnotaurus, which appeared in the original script for Lost World, and probably canned from the film for being too goofy. Nobody's going to buy stealth dinosaurs with optical camouflage, and that's a shame, because a dinosaur that can turn invisible is pretty much the scariest thing ever. A year later, Sega brought out Lost World Special. They upped the screen to an 80-inch display, nixed the separate player life bars for a shared one, and they axed the Carnotaurus to replace it with a stage set in San Diego, like the end of the film. They also built in weapon recoil, and made the machine blast air at players when the T-Rex roars at them. All of this information on the Special Edition can be found in the 1998 January issue of UK Sega Saturn magazine, in an interview held with director Shinichi Ogasawara. The interview has some interesting tidbits. There isn't any blood because you're not killing the dinosaurs, you're tranquilizing them. Shinichi also goes into great detail about the Model 3 exclusive effects, like the lake transparency and the flashlight in the T-Rex stage. It's a fascinating read. And I shed a tear that Ogasawara has never had his opportunity to make a 007 game. He'd do an amazing job at it if given the chance. Later in 1999, Future Publishing's Arcade magazine announced a Dreamcast port, but it never came. I'd give at least one half of my left testicle to play Lost World Special. Maybe when the world goes back to normal, I might find one out in the wild. Nature is healing after all. The second game I want to look at is The Ocean Hunter. This game came out in 1999. The Ocean Hunter takes place in a world where everything went a bit steampunk technology-wise. Mankind ended up disturbing the seas, and now the legendary eldritch creatures that inhabit those seas are out for revenge. Also sharks. Because sharks. Mankind has put bounties on each of these monsters. Our main characters, Toril and Chris, seek the reward for hunting each of these creatures. They drop down into each of the planet's 7 seas to fight the creature residing over that area. We have the Kraken, bounty 5,000 gold. Leviathan, bounty 8,000 gold. Karyubidis, bounty 10,000 gold. Ahuizotl, bounty 12,000 gold. Karkinos, bounty 15,000 gold. Midgard Zolom, a giant earthworm who has existed since ancient times. Bounty is 18,000 gold. And finally, Rahab, a sea god born from chaos itself, creator of Kraken, Leviathan, Karyubidis, Ahoizotl and Karkinos, full of anger towards mankind for their disrespect of the sea. He has deliberately instigated disasters, and the amount of damage he has caused is immeasurable. I think the bounty should be a little bit higher than the meager 20,000 gold. Add a few zeros and then we'll talk. Rahab comes in 3 forms: Dagon, Poseidon, and Rahab, each increasing in strength. Each of these monsters are based on folklore, spanning back hundreds of thousands of years. You might have noticed this if you know your Hebrew, Greek, or Norse mythology. It's clear AM1 had a lot of fun plundering the library for all these great ideas. This game's atmosphere is off the charts. The effects are really impressive for the late 90s. Model 3 is capable of some stunning transparency and lighting effects, which really sell the notion of an undersea world. Stages each have their own look and feel, each with their own despair-inducing look at the damage left behind by the great monsters that inhabit the sea. In issue 207 of Computer and Video Games magazine, they mentioned a rumoured Sega Dreamcast port, but sadly that never came to be. Here on Supermodel Emulator, you can play the game with one major game-breaking graphical glitch. Ironically, I couldn't see shit in the boss fight against Medusa. It's kind of funny that a game about sailing the seven seas can only be plausibly played by, well, sailing the seven seas, yar. Look, Lost World and Ocean Hunter are likely years away from ever getting dredged up by Sega again, especially considering that one of these is a licensed work. We did get nods to Ocean Hunter in Yakuza 6's awesome minigame, but what I wouldn't do to see either one of these games come back. It pains me that nobody can offer a plug-and-play micro arcade with 2 guns and a sensor setup, loaded up with a bunch of shooters. There is money in a box that has House of the Dead, Time Crisis, and Silent Hill Arcade on it. Chuck Lost World and Ocean Hunter on there. I'd pay £100 for that, compared to paying an outlandish $99.99 for a TurboGrafx emulator on a chip and a bunch of games I can't understand. What I'm trying to say is Sega isn't likely to crack down on emulation of Model 3, despite it being sort of a grey area when it comes to legality. If you wanted to play these games on your PC, I doubt the Sega ninjas would come crashing down on you. Of course, when official releases of these games become available in the future, please do the right thing and support them. Before you go, I'd just like to quickly plug channel memberships. I recently closed down my Patreon account. It was a long time coming. I simply lost trust in them over the years, their hypocrisy, the way they've handled various situations. I just had enough. And it was hard to integrate it with any real rewards here on YouTube. I now exclusively use channel memberships, so if you want to help out, please click the link in the description. No obligation, everything's cool. This has been Sushi Bites. Thanks for watching.